everybody? Welcome back to the Coach's Show. I am Brian Stanley. With me, as always, your head coach of the Mission Prep Royals, David Schuster. I butchered that, Coach. Your Mission Prep Royals. Let me get that right, Coach. How you doing, Coach? Welcome back to the show.
Doing great. Happy to be here.
Welcome back. Let's talk about a big, I want to call it a big come from behind win, because you didn't lead at all until late in the fourth quarter against the Lompoc Braves, improving to 6-1. The Royals did in the 1914 win. That win saw quite a few different aspects of the Royals that we haven't seen this season. Fighting from behind late, and we saw a series where fourth down was a play that we went for it.
Yeah, I mean, first off, we've gone for it on fourth down numerous times this year. If we like the way the drive is and where we're at, I got no problem going for it on fourth down.
I just real quick, Coach, I'm jumping. I feel like there was that drive had multiple fourth downs that you went. That's why it stood out more than previous, because you went for it not just once but a couple times in that drive to keep that drive going. And it proved successful multiple times to go on fourth down. So,
yeah. Well, it was also kind of we kind of had to. We knew like this was going to be our one shot to take the lead, and so the first drive, I'll put it this way: at the start of the game, we could just sort of tell this was going to be a tough game. This was going to be very intense. This was going to be very hard fought. That realization early on in the first quarter then dictated a lot of decisions that we made throughout the rest of the game. So that first driver we scored, for instance, we go for it on fourth down a couple of times because we kind of made the decision like we're going to put this ball in the end zone. We have to.
Yeah.
And so there was just the play calls were real specific. Everything that we were trying to do was try to reestablish control. Lompoc was burning the clock on us. There's a number of things that Lompoc did that were smart, that were tactically very sound, and defensively they were giving us some problems too. And so that then dictated a number of decisions. That also dictated in part the 2-point try later on in the game, and then at the very end, that whole drive was purposeful in how we called that drive. The amount of time that we were taking off the clock, we were not in hurry up. That was purposeful. We did not want to give Lompoc the ball back, and we wanted us to be the final ones with the ball with any significant time left in the game. And so, and the way it all kind of carried out and worked out, I was just incredibly pleased. And I just felt like our young team, they're tough, incredibly tough, but they are still very young. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't recall us ever really being down in any game this year until the very end of Bakersfield Christian. And so even Bishop Diego, I think we scored first. And Aptos, we scored first. And then everybody else since then, we've always either been tied or in the lead. And so anyway, long story short, I just felt like we got put in a compromised position multiple times in that first half, and the way the team handled so many things in the second half, just was really, really proud of the way the team grew up, handled all of it, and then in crucial moments when we had to have it, the team absolutely executed. So it was great.
Well, Coach, we definitely agreed, Stephen and I, that a lot of fans deserve a reimbursement for the manicures they had to go get after the game, because that was definitely a nail biter of a game, leaving fans on both sides of the aisle on the edge of their seat, and that's good football. And that's just a fan. If you're a fan of football, that right there is good football. It doesn't matter who you're rooting for.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes a great game.
Yeah, it was a great game. It was exhausting. But those are games that everyone remembers, and they always just have a blast with. And thankfully we were on the right side of it this time, and we haven't been in the past. Bakersfield Christian, for instance, was very close. It was a nail biter. They pulled it out at the end, and We're just really, really proud of how a lot of young kids stepped up. Ronnie's a sophomore, Miles is a freshman, Thomas is a sophomore, a lot of juniors and sophomores on the defense. So just a number of young kids who are getting a lot of real valuable experience, and they're stepping up. So proud of them.
You listed off the next three players I wanted to talk about, so let's go. Ronnie Kardashian broke the 100-yard mark for the second time this season, Coach. He finished with 108 yards, including that 60-yard touchdown run. Thomas Glenn threw for a touchdown in back-to-back games now, connecting with Drew Souza for a 10-yard touchdown pass. And you mentioned freshman Miles Thomas. He is averaging
Thompson.
Well, I'm sorry.
Thompson.
I'm sorry, Miles Thompson. Yeah, typo on my list here. Miles Thompson, I should have known that, is averaging 5.6 yards per carry in 2 games with only holding the rock 18 times.
Yeah, it was like they were kind of indicative of the rest of the team. All of them except Thomas are going both ways as well. Miles is starting on defense too a little bit. Ronnie is as well. So just asking a lot of young men, and the young men are stepping up. And Ronnie is incredibly explosive. He's a very tough kid, and I think everyone kind of got to see it on that 60-yard run, man. Like when he gets it, it doesn't take a whole lot for him, and once he hits that angle, like there's no one touching him. And so, and then Miles has really proven to be just an absolute weapon in the backfield. He can see everything very well. He's got great feet. He's tough to take down, and he's got some surprising speed that I think people are kind of going like a little bit tougher to get to. And so, and then Thomas, I think I want to quickly just state for everybody out there, man, like Thomas is doing so many things, and he's doing so many of them at such a high level. And everyone naturally looks at the stats and goes, well, this and well, that. It is really hard to play quarterback. It's hard to play quarterback for us too, in the system that we run, and manage everything that they got to manage as a sophomore.
Yeah.
And I will say Colby White as a sophomore looks very similar to Thomas Glenn. They made almost all the same mistakes, all had the same type of games. Colby had a game as a sophomore where you just like, you kind of get to a point where it's like he's struggling today. We're going to kind of shut down the passing game, and so that way we kind of keep the ball moving. And then he's had other games where you do throw the ball a little bit, and Thomas has had those games as well. So, I just really, really proud of Thomas. He's done such a great job with the offense. The team absolutely believes in him. They've rallied behind him from day one when we made him the guy at Bishop Diego. And Thomas is just getting better and better every week. And I'm just, and I think it really kind of showed in that final drive. I don't know that 4 or 5 weeks ago, that final drive would have been very successful. And I think that's a credit to Thomas and his growth as the quarterback, where it's like when you had to have it, he's making the correct throw, he's making the right read in pressure situations, and doing just a great job delivering the ball with accuracy. So it's really proud of him, man.
And that brings us to our Farmers Insurance agent, Jennifer White, player of the game. We talked it over, and Steven and I decided that it was the Iceman, Ronnie Kardashian, earning player of the game with that 60-yard touchdown run, 108 yards on the ground. Now, we didn't know he had 108 yards because we don't have those final stats in the booth, but that's what we learned post awarding him that. So congratulations to Ronnie on collecting that trophy this week. There is no trophy, but it's the heart of the trophy.
But it's public acceptance or
Yes.
Public recognition. So
yes.
Yeah.
No, so, and Coach, you're playing on Friday the 13th. And before we talk about who we're playing and what we're doing, let's talk about superstitions. Because we're playing on Friday the 13th. It's the Halloween season. Do you have any superstitions, or did you have any planned or in your time in the service, anything like that?
I've had I guess you'd call them superstitions. Throughout the years, I've had different things each year that it used to be a superstitious thing that we always had to watch Remember the Titans, and it kind of came from like half-hearted a joke, and then it kind of turned into a thing where was it 2019? We started real slow. Camp week wasn't great, and we had or it was great. It just wasn't as good as normal, and we hadn't watched Remember the Titans during camp week. And then on the trip to Viewpoint, we watched Remember the Titans on the bus. We came out, we kind of put it on Viewpoint, and we went on a run for the rest of the way. And I remember thinking, like, okay, well, that's the thing. We got to remember, watch Remember the Titans. And a couple of years ago, we stopped doing it. It's like, we do it based off the personality of the team and try to give them something fresh every year. I will say this year, and my wife knows this, and um, I don't even remember. It really came out of necessity because my feet are so jacked up. So I wore a very specific type of shoe for the Bishop Diego game, and I just was kind of sitting there going like, well, let's just try to hopefully my feet feel better at the end of the game. And I wore socks I got from Christmas, and they're these big, thick Dodger blue Dodger socks, and I wore them with these real specific shoes, and then we beat Bishop Diego, and I was like, oh, that's what it is. And so if you'll notice, the rest of the season I've been wearing the same shoes, and I'm wearing royal blue, or Dodger blue Dodger socks, and so that will not change, and we have not lost since I've been doing it. So kind of riding that one.
And that brings us to our 6-game winning streak. That leads us to our Mountain League matchup this Friday night, Friday the 13th, live from Doug Hitchens Stadium in Arroyo Grande, as we face the Arroyo Grande Eagles, who are also 6-1, 4-0 in the Mountain League. They're riding a 5-game winning streak with wins over San Luis Obispo, Lompoc, St. Joseph, Napomo, and Rigetti. Coach, this is a tough team coached by head coach Mike Hartman, and they bring some heavy hitters with them on their line and in their backfield.
Yeah, I'll say Bishop Diego is probably the physically most athletic, most impressive team we've seen all year. But this is the most complete team we've seen all year, without question. They're deep at every position. They're well coached at every position. They're incredibly strong up front. You're watching them kind of move St. Joe's all over the place, which is that's no small feat. And a number of other teams that they've got that they've played throughout the year, they're just kind of physically moving everybody all over the place. They tackle well, they tackle with intensity. And then offensively, man, number 30 is he's a locomotive, man. That kid's hard to stop. And Caleb Clark is a deep weapon. They got weapons all over the place. I think 10, the quarterback, is majorly improved from last year. I think he really has turned himself into a weapon, and so got great respect for what AG can do and what they've been doing to everybody else. And so this is one of those games where we could play a great game and still lose. And so we got to play so on point. We've got to be able to physically move the line of scrimmage somewhat. I don't know if we can. We're going to give it our best shot, but no, we fully understand and comprehend how difficult of a game this is going to be against AG. And they're well coached, they're tough, they got a great roster this year, and but I also know that we're very excited about the challenge. So,
And the challenge they do bring, as head coaches go, you are 2-0 against head coach Mike Hartman of Arroyo Grande, picking up wins last year in league in your first meeting with them, and then picking up a playoff win over the Eagles in the playoffs in the second round or the quarterfinals of the playoffs in Division III. So it's going to be a tough matchup when it comes down. It's going to come down to the players on the field and who can execute properly and on point and be there in those key moments. And it's going to be an exciting one, Coach. Any tidbits that you can tell us that you think is going to happen in this game? No, anything?
Man,
Any
you know,
predictions?
it's a league title game. There's a lot on the line, and or it's phase one, I guess, of a potential league title.
Yeah,
And
I didn't want to get into that, so I was hoping you'd talk about that. That's where I was trying to. That's what I was hinting at there, Coach,
okay,
because I don't want to. I didn't want to bring it up, and because the person that brings it up tends to be the one who, when you're outside the circle, that can jinx the party.
oh, okay,
And I didn't want to be the one to come in and jinx the party. But yeah, it
yeah,
is kind of a league title at this point because when Arroyo Grande beat St. Joseph, there was kind of a gasp on the Central Coast because St. Joseph was the favorite to return as league champions.
mhm.
And now it's come down to you guys. And if you win at 4-0, you're both 4-0, and whoever picks this win up, the destiny is in their hands for the league title. They win
Yeah,
outright, they win the league, and so it really favors anybody in this position.
yeah. It's going to be. We're fully expecting this to be an incredibly intense atmosphere. Um, there's no love. I'll be totally honest, man. There's really no love lost between the two schools, and between some of the nonsense that we've had to deal with these guys, last year and some of the stuff that they were trying to pull, um, and just kind of the way both programs kind of feel about each other. There's a lot of respect there, no question. Um, but I think both sides have made it pretty freaking clear that we're not exactly fans of each other, and so I fully expect that the stands are going to be that way, um, and the records just magnify the way we both feel about each other. I think, and so I think that AG came in going their whole mission honestly was, they were coming after St. Joe's and Mission Prep, and rightfully so. I don't blame them at all for treating it that way. I would do the same, and so I know it's going to be intense. There's going to be many moments throughout the game where our kids are faced with some legitimate adversity, and we're going to have to find ways to overcome those things. And hopefully we can deliver some of that as well back their way. So it's the type of game that everyone's just kind of pumped up for, and the type of game that ends up being memorable for somebody. So very excited about it. And definitely can't wait to see how this goes on Friday night. But I do not know how this is going to go, and
Yeah.
so it's going to
I don't
be
think you're
going to
actually
be a
gonna give
lot.
your prediction, Coach.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So
My prediction is that whoever wins this game goes on to win the league title. That is my prediction. And
well, I'll say this: if AG wins, they're pretty much the outright league champs. I don't know that anybody else in our league is going to beat them. And if we win, I'd say that at least guarantees us a share of the league title, because then we'd also have to try to go through St. Joe's, and
yeah,
that's going to be equally as tough. Not quite sure how we're going to pull that one off too. So, um, we'll get to that one in 2 weeks.
I'm making that prediction though. That's my prediction.
Yeah.
On the
I got
bulletin board it is. If you've made it this far, hit that like and subscribe buttons for us. We appreciate that. You can follow us all on that Twitter X, whatever they call it these days. I'm Stanley on sports. He's Coach_D Schuster. And Prep Sports Network is the Prep SN, and Mission Prep Football, MCP Football. Our next coaches show is going to be Wednesday, October 18th. And coming up this Friday, October 13th, Friday the 13th, kickoff 7 p.m. right here on PSNtv. Your Mission Prep Royals at the Arroyo Grande Eagles from Doug Hitchens Stadium in Arroyo Grande, California. I'll be live with you. Coach, any final words?
Nope. Excited to get going.
Excited to get going. Let's get this show on the road. We'll see you soon. Have a good day. Where's that stop button? There it is.